UX, user experience design. Actually, we call it nowadays people experience design more. And you can actually design everything. I mean, like, if you feel really bad at your workplace, then someone probably designed it so at least some way. Maybe your manager designed it so you feel really bad at your workplace. Maybe it's vice versa. You can measure it. You can actually, just think what you want to achieve and then find out a way how to measure it, and then it gets as a clear focus for everyone to do it, so that it actually helps you. At our work, we have to measure like craziest stuff ever. It can be your personal key success factor, like body fat or whatever else. It's just regular thing we're measuring. In our companies, we measure things like that as well. Not body fat, of course, but other stuff, like, for example, is it going better or worse? I mean, is sales up or down? Is it getting better somehow? Are we doing the right thing? We changed kind of a lot in our company, for example, and now we want to see that is it actually working? Are we more efficient, for example, or is there more customers who wants to pay anything? Of course, there's no point of measuring anything unless you have at least some kind of idea what you want to achieve at some point. And all these key performance indicators, they at least should start from there. This goal might be, for example, oh, I want to sell my company for this kind of amount of money. So there's lots of equations for just to understand how much your company is worth. And then you want to just kind of reverse design it to daily tasks, small achievements, and just measure them. And then it's so easy to say that we are halfway there. We need 100 more employees, for example. We need better marketing strategy. The last one doesn't really help us that much. What actually happens, of course, I mean, like, if we do some kind of marketing campaign, it always like happens so that there will be always more people on your website. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of marketing campaign you do, you always will get more people on your website. The thing is it really useful for us? Is it good enough, or do we get any revenue from there? This is these important questions, right? So marketing campaign can be failure because it doesn't generate any money for you later. It just generated more traffic to your website. And you want to know that. And so that's why you are measuring it, to get some ideas. Is it really working? Is it good enough? And what happens next? Sometimes we measure because we want to know what you really expect from me. What you want me to do. Me as a salesperson, for example, you can tell me, sell more. Okay. If you tell me more emotional way to sell more, I'm probably going to take these 2 next days, and I'm going to be sure that there will be no email unanswered before I go to sleep. I do it for 2 days maybe, and then I feel like, oh yeah, I have done my better work, and yeah, now I can rest a bit. So do more doesn't really work. But sell this amount of, products, or you have to bring in that amount of money, works really quite a bit longer, because you have every month you have this limit and you work towards that. So then me as a worker, I know what to do, what you expect from me, really. So of course there's so many more reasons and questions what you want to answer from measuring stuff. It really depends on your business. We cannot tell you that, oh, you should measure this, this, and this. And that's all you need. At least I cannot tell you today, right now, what you should all measure. It depends on your business. It depends where you are in your development process, what you do daily life, where most of your money comes, and where most of your money goes, really. So that means that for every company, there's certain key performance indicators. Of course, there's some most common ones, like what are used by many companies. And of course, I'm sure this is nothing new for lots of you. And sometimes it's, really good to just remember them again, and really think, why don't we measure these things? We are grown enough, for example, and stuff like that. So I will go through some regular key performance indicators. There's so many of them. Of course, this is not even 5% of them all, but these are kind of really common. It seems like a bit mathematic, so it should be equation in some kind of visual form. You can try them out later. I'm not going to, go through all these specific details. Of course, if you have any questions, you can ask from me. Tomorrow on the workshop, we do kind of really practical work about find your own key performance indicators and how to really calculate them. But I'm going just through of some. For example, customer retention rate. This is a key performance indicator which shows actually how many customers from this, for example, month you are having next month. The same customer who you had previous set of time to the next time. So how loyal your customers are, really. The thing is, getting new customers is always much more expensive than to just sell to your old ones. Customer lifetime value usually shows it very clearly. So this is just how much money usually or averagely your customers are actually giving you when they are your customers. This might be like several years. Funny thing is, if you try it out, you can see huge sums of money. And when you do it first time, you are really impressed by it. And you say, oh my God, I never get it that much. But you can. It depends how you actually communicating your customers, how good work you do for them. Are you valuable? Is it any, good service you provide and so on. Conversion rate, this is the most common used KPI, I think, ever. Who haven't heard anything about conversion rate? Please raise your hand. Who has heard anything about conversion rate? Fair enough. Well, the thing is, conversion rates are actually also kind of most misused KPIs as well. So there's no point of, usually, there's no point of measuring conversion rate of website, all visitors versus visitors who clicked on this picture. Doesn't show you anything. Just shows you how many people just clicked on the picture. But conversion rate can be like really useful for you if you just measure from all the visitors from your website, for example, how many of them actually bought anything. So this is like a more reasonable way of using this conversion rate. Okay, you always have, or my slides have also this the small or longer web page addresses. This is usually a calculator. You can play with this measurement. You can use it. Not all the slides have it, but you can try them out. Well, this is the KPI, which is really similar to previous one. But instead of just measuring conversion rate, you might want to actually measure how many customer complaints you have. You know, if you have just this help desk and you will get like 100 calls per day, it doesn't really show you that much, right? Is this 100 calls from 1 million customer transactions, or is it like from 100 customer transactions? It's completely different thing, right? So you want to understand how well customers actually understand your product, your service, and how happy they are with your products and services. So this is also one possible KPI. Product return rate. I mean, it's not like money-wise return. It's a return, how many customers buy your product and return it to you and ask money back. So if you do product development, I mean any kind, for example, you ordered some new, I don't know, parking clocks from China and you sell them. And then from every 100 parking clocks, like 10 of them comes back because, you know, customer doesn't really, they cannot find out the way how it really works. It's really not good product design, right? So you want to improve that. So this might be a key performance indicator. Return of innovation investment. How many of you actually measuring that? Any? I think this is one key performance indicator. Everyone who develops anything, invests anything to product development should measure. It's so easy to actually lose your focus. I mean, like, if your customer complains about some feature is not findable, the button is missing somehow. And you make a task to your developers or your product development team that this button should be there because customer says it should be there. You spend some time and money for that. Well, the thing is, your product development team has many of this kind of requests, a lot. And it's kind of really hard to think which one is more important than the other one. And, you know, for you to lead this kind of, you know, development is kind of really hard when you people don't know what, from what to start. So, before you do any requests to your development team, you should maybe consider this, how much time it takes, and really, will it bring anything back to you? Of course, you don't do it probably for one button, but maybe for some features. Average cost per lead, also really usual KPI. So how much will it cost to create, actually to take this, create this lead, and also you can go forward with that, and then just calculate how much will it cost to actually get any sales from that. If you do any marketing campaign or any sales activity, how can you say that they are actually doing really good work if you don't measure that? Upselling and cross-selling, same way of calculating these things. It's not from all the sales, or not all the attempts of the sales. It should be calculated from attempts of upselling and cross-selling. So then you know that your upselling channels actually work or not. And then you can improve and select different ones. This is all for just to grow your sales. Yeah, well, the thing is, if you have a company where lots of your employees like run, and you hire all new ones all the time, and if this is really high, then you spend a lot of time on training them, right? So it's not really good thing, especially when if your company is kind of really specialized company. So you need to spend more time for training. So if that happens and you need to improve that, then you probably want to measure it somehow. So this is the one way. Yeah, IT costs. We have this big IT management, IT team, for example, or development team in our company, and you know, it's not our main business, for example, but we need some stuff from them, new web pages, new software, stuff like that. So actually, you want to keep this department cost under like normal, you know, area. Or certain point. So it's good idea to actually compare the spend for the IT development or IT department with your revenue, for example. So you know, is it like beneficial for you to have this kind of department at all? So I was kind of a bit fast, I think. Yeah, really fast. Do you have any questions? I know this is shy. Who wants to measure all the stuff and who wants to have these numbers all the time? But you know, it's getting interesting when you actually start doing that. Okay.
Question over here. Just wait for the mic and you'll get your chance.
How do you explain the value of a Facebook fan to your customer?
What?
How do you explain the value of a Facebook fan
Yeah,
to your
okay.
customer?
Well, probably you have to try to measure how many of your Facebook fans are actually your customers, paying customers. So, or how many of them actually will be your paying customers, meaning that for example, last month, how many new Facebook fans actually became your customers, or within last year or something like that. So this is your value of Facebook fan.
But how can you measure it when the fan can be your fan today, but he will purchase it in 1 month or 1 year when he's just seeing your news about the sunny weather and then reacts to it. How can you? It's really hard to track this. That was this the news that really made him or her purchase and come to the website. So how do you do that?
Well, the thing is, you cannot really link certain news to certain customer, but you can actually understand how much new fans, for example, this news brings. So if your fan shares your news, so you will get new fans. So if you know how many of your Facebook fans are, for example, within a year become your customers, then you know the value of every news you have. Of course, your idea of having Facebook page might be not just getting new sales, but it might be, for example, keep your customers loyal a bit longer, for example. So this is also, you can calculate that.
Any more questions to Hegle? I have a question meanwhile then. So what can go wrong with measuring and metrics?
Well, the first thing is not analyzing or do any decisions based on measurements. So basically you can measure everything, like you have Google Analytics, whatever possible tools. You kind of measure everything and you actually don't do any business decision based on them. Of course, there's also measuring just one KPI usually means that you have no way of check your information or understand it the right way. So you might think that having some kind of KPI like growing all the time is good thing, but maybe something else happened and the equations are a tricky thing. If you, for example, divide something with really big number or really small number, or then it just, the number can grow, but that means that somewhere there something just extremely bad happened. So you cannot just measure and see this final KPI value and think that everything is okay. You sometimes just have to analyze it through. What kind of number really actually created it or made it grow so rapidly, for example. So this is the common mistake. You just have this KPI, you only check this last outcome number or index or whatever you call it, and you make a wrong decision based on that.
Any more questions? There's one from the back there.
Of course, there's this cost comes from many different places. One is just having this development cost, and there's also overhead cost or management cost or operational cost, for example. There's also marketing cost. You actually have to predict as much you can have, for example, or if you're measuring it from a previous investments, then you have better understanding and you can add some extra measurements to this equation. So there's no point of just having KPI. You have to like improve it if you need to, and just keep tracking. The thing is, if you improve your KPI, you cannot really you know, compare to previous KPI value with a new one, having not improving the last one too. So, but the thing is, you have to add all these costs as much you see. It depends on your product what the cost is. It might be shipping cost or something else too.
Any more questions? Right, then thank you to Hegle Sarapuu.
Thank you.
You have a choice of two identical plants.
Oh, that's perfect for me because we just moved to a new office and we need some green stuff there.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
thank you.